So what we're talking about tonight will apply to all over, which every month we does, but this is kind of more specific. And I think to the Southeast, sometimes it's good. We're going to discuss mobile home investing tonight. We get a lot of questions about that all of the time and what to buy, how to buy them. So we're going to kind of touch on not necessarily the whole park aspect of buying, but just the individual units this evening. All right. Cool. We got a yes in the box about that. Good. I'm excited.
Yes. All right. Hey, there's no mobile homes in Georgia, are there, Philip? I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. You know, what's funny is New Mexico. All right. Right on. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure where Las Cruces is. Is that near Albuquerque, Duke City? You got a lot of stuff out there too, I imagine, which is awesome. You know, it's so funny because we used to travel all over the US and Canada teaching real estate. And what was interesting is whenever you were flying into an airport, there was always mobile home parks around, right? Like if you look down, you're like, oh, there's a mobile home park.
LA.
It didn't matter where you were. There was always parks. And it was so funny because people would be like, you know, we talk about flipping houses, wholesaling, passive income, and then Christy might sprinkle in like some mobile home stuff, and everybody would be like, there's no mobile home parks around here. And I'd be like, I came in on the airplane and saw like 50 of them, right? So it's like, it's kind of like when you have a red car, you own a red car, you buy a new car, and you think you're the only one with it. And then all of a sudden you see it everywhere. So mobile home parks and investing in mobile homes, I think is the same way. And after this webinar, what's really cool is you guys will start to see ways where you can make money. A person can make money with mobile homes. Maybe you have mobile home leads right now and you're like, I don't even know what to do with these. Like I'm used to working with houses, right? A lot of people that you help.
And can you rent them? Can you flip them? Absolutely. So this will go through just at least a baseline. If you come across something, there's no longer, let me just throw it to the side or tell someone I can't help them. And there's even something I was thinking as we did our PowerPoint, there's like a little bonus at the end, something else you could do with them that we might talk about too. So
cool. Yeah, we got some good freebies too to help you with mobile home stuff that we use and Christy uses in her business. So, hey, if you're already investing in mobile homes or you have, let us know. Say, yes, I am. Or if you've had leads and you've been like, I don't know what to do with the leads. If that's you, let us know where you're at. If you're just like, hey, there's so much competition right now for single family stuff. I'm looking for something that maybe there's some low hanging fruit that I could get my hands on.
And just remember, we're going to touch a little bit on marketing, but not full blown. We're going to talk about where to find them. But remember, all of the direct mail stuff you're doing, bandit signs, all of that applies to mobile homes. So really, you can take all the marketing you do for your single family homes and just switch that up, whether it's on social media. So it's really easy. So it's not necessarily that you have to like change the whole game. You're already doing a lot of it. So it's just taking the word single family home or house and changing it to mobile home. So just keep that in mind. We try to make it real simple. So we're going to pull up our PowerPoint. What about estimating cost to fix one? We're going to go through that. I'm actually going to touch on that in the PowerPoint. And then I saw another question on there.
I'll pull up the chat.
Perfect. Something in Wyoming. Let me see here. I thought I saw that. Not sure how to get a deal done with 7 mobile homes available here in Wyoming. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about, after this, hold that question and see if hopefully this will answer it. And if not, then we can get into some specifics at the end and kind of go through that. So
right on. So real quick, guys, Noah and Christy Harris, we're in Columbia, South Carolina. We invest North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, where else? Virginia. So, we're family oriented. We're not like the most lavish people that you'll ever meet. We're all about family, and I bet we have a lot in common. And it's just like financial freedom, cash flow, right? How do you get out of the job and just be able to spend time with your family? And that's something that we've built, and we're really excited to share with you how we did that. And this is a part of that.
Yeah. And last year during pandemic, it really resonated, which I'm sure it did with everyone, but we virtual schooled a kindergartner. So we got him to first grade this year. So they're back in school.
Yeah.
And then our youngest in that picture is now a kindergartner. So we were able to navigate through that, which was awesome, and be home and do the business and, have them here with us. So,
all right. So so jump into this. Christy didn't know I threw this up here, but if you've seen this before and you know what this is or who these guys are, just type it in the box. It's not the most family oriented show, but It's a show that I always laugh because in college, I would always watch the show with these characters here, Ricky, Bubbles, Julian, and it's the Trailer Park Boys. It's on Netflix. And I always thought, you know, the goal of the Trailer Park Boys, if you've ever seen it, of the TV show, was to always end up figuring out how to buy the mobile home park, right? That was always, if they bought the mobile home park, they'd have it made, they'd be able to retire, all this stuff. Every season, same game plan, right? How can we buy the mobile home park? And I laugh because I always thought, man, what a great idea investing in mobile homes and mobile home parks would be. And it all started from this stupid TV show. And Christy actually got us tickets to a comedy show down in Charleston. And we actually met the Trailer Park Boys. And it was so cool because I kind of shared that story of, hey, I grew up watching you guys, you know, be crazy on this TV show about the mobile home parks. And next thing you know, we're buying them. And I married someone who invests in them and is just as excited as I am. And they chuckled and laughed and they're like, man, I hear those mobile home parks are pretty crazy down in South Carolina. And
so we laugh about it because the whole show is a parody on mobile home parks, and half the stories that came up in it were like real life incidents that we ran into. So it made me laugh like, oh my gosh, this is so true in real life. So, yeah. So they made it as a joke, but it's really real life. And
so if anything that you learn from this session here is, you know, making money with mobile homes, all that's great, but also how to avoid having tenants in your properties like these guys. Right. And we'll give you some tips on how to put good tenants in your properties too. So you ready to dive into it?
Yep. Ready to go. Cool. So what we did was we tried to put together, and I try to think of like the most common questions when I'm coaching or the most common things that people ask me when I'm doing an event on mobile homes. So we tried to break it down of, like Noah said, there's tons of competition now. You know that if you're making offers, you're running into best and highest, you're running into, oh my gosh, I have to submit multiple offers and, go back and follow up on that. It's a competitive time. I think it always is. So this just adds another element of an additional something to do, but we kind of touched on here, why is it an untapped market? And I think the biggest thing is really fear of the unknown. People just, don't know anything about mobile homes. They Google, they read, they see, you turn on the news. There was a shooting in the mobile home park. A tornado blew through. Here comes the hurricane. The first thing to go are the mobile homes. So that like unknown and what to actually do with it makes people stay away from it, which is an awesome thing. I keep saying like, I don't know if I should be telling everybody how great they are because, when I started investing in them in like 2007, 8, I felt like everybody was telling me to stay away from them and I didn't listen. So now the hype is mobile homes. So everyone's buying them. Another one, negative image. I mean, that's big because when we talk about what the park looks like and you think about a mobile home park, and I do this, I kind of thought like, oh, mobile homes, trailer, trash, right? I hate to say that, but growing up, we had 3 main parks in our hometown. One actually happens to be across from the farm I grew up on. Never really thought about it. I knew people that rode my bus that lived in there, and it was a nice park. It was more rural and out in the country. But the other 2 were really dilapidated and high with drugs. So it was one that nobody wanted to buy anything in or mess around with. So I think like the thought is mobile homes are bad. Stay away from them all the way around. So
yeah, but really what we're going to show you guys is, we flip a lot of houses, and the same materials, like we flip mobile homes, and really we'll get into the next slide here, what they really are called, which is manufactured homes. And we'll put the same cabinets, same flooring, and we'll create a single family feel in a manufactured home, right? And most importantly, at an affordable price point. So there's a huge opportunity that we're going to share with you of, gosh, nobody else is doing this, and really picking out your markets and saying, okay, where are the good school districts? Where can a person be in an area that's a good area and be on a little bit of land, but without the price tag of the brick home or the stick built home, right?
Right. And when it comes down to the repairs of everything, what I think about people are thinking is, do I use a licensed contractor? Or can I use a handyman? What if I take a wall out? Does it, kind of do the same things apply to a manufactured home or mobile home that they do to a house? And we'll touch on that coming up in some of the rehabs and ones we flipped and ones we've actually held as rentals.
So Christy, like when for most people, when they think mobile home, they might think like the trailer or whatever, right? But a lot of people don't know is what they're called now, right? And they might just call it, like you call a soda can a Coke, even though you might be drinking a different brand. A person might see a manufactured home and just call it a trailer or whatever,
everyone
right?
pretty much calls it a mobile home. And the real difference is when I talk about mobile and you think about a mobile home, why is it called a mobile home? That means because it's mobile. That means you still basically can move that home. So when they originated, most of the time you found them on a piece of land or in a park, a lot of times where you just own the home and somebody else owned the land underneath you. So in order to basically call that house a mobile home, it was built to, basically on concrete blocks up off the ground, and they left the hitch on the front of it and all the moving axles and everything underneath it. So if you ever wanted to move the home, it was truly mobile. So as you can see, this kind of gives a rundown. And if you haven't been in a mobile home, literally go in the junkiest one in a park and then go to the manufactured home dealer lot and go look at the nice brand new ones. That'll give you an idea of what you're in. Some of those you walk in are nicer than most houses you walk into. Noah had that experience. Like when we first
I was shocked.
Yeah, started dating and got married. He's like, oh my gosh, this place is so nice. I'm like, that's what I've been telling you. Like, you're just seeing some of our rentals and they're not that bad, but they're not brand new.
I was sold.
So when you look at the manufactured home, what the difference is and why this is really important, everyone, after 1976, they changed the laws on manufactured or mobile homes, turned them into called manufactured homes. And basically they had to be approved by HUD guidelines. So they were built to actually a much, much better standard, which opened the door to actually being able to get financing on them. And there's a HUD sticker, which we'll show you a picture of later on the front. So when you actually hook these manufactured homes up, the inspector has to come out for the electrical and different things. When you actually do that for the skirting, like you have to get a permit within the county to do that. Modular homes, those are often confused with manufactured, and modular homes are actually single family homes pretty much. They're also built in a factory. All of these are, which is another reason they're cool, because think about this right now, like we're getting a lot of rain. For any of you rehabbing single family homes, and we've been there, it's now time to put a roof on, but it's raining for 7 days. I can't even paint the exterior of the home because it's raining. These like manufactured mobile and modular homes are built in a factory. So they're all put together. Basically, you'll pass them on the interstate. They're being delivered to the land. Then they piece them together and they're done. Like that's it. There's no like building really once you get them to the place they're going. So the modular home, remember, that is a single family home that is held to the same guidelines and inspections as a house and can be comped out like a house. So that's different. That's like a house, looks like a house. So
cool. So, it's funny. We spend all this time, we've rehabbed some really nice houses in some nice neighborhoods with 6-figure renovation budgets. And sometimes you end up making the same amount of money as just you would on a 1,500 square foot double wide. Which is crazy.
It is. It's insane, especially down here in the South. A lot of people are looking for affordable housing. That's the other thing, the movement of COVID, moving people and retirees. So it creates this sense of I can still travel and I don't have a huge mortgage. I can buy it for cash. So it's actually a great product, retirement, young.
So we recommend going to, like, if we were to create a to-do list right now, it's like, hey, I'm interested in this. What should I do? First thing I would do is the same thing Christy did with me when I first was introduced to this. We started dating. Go to a mobile home dealership and start walking and become familiar with how they work, the layouts and things like that. What we found is that for obviously just like single family houses, like the 3 bedrooms are going to give you your best rate of return as far as like cash flow wise, right? Because
if you're keeping it as a rental, exactly.
Keeping it as a rental.
And even on resale, I mean, I'd like to stick to the 3 bedroom, right? 2 bath. But what's interesting is sometimes the 2 bedrooms rent very well in a park as well, like especially, and how do you price them out for rentals? People ask me. So I look at mostly the housing around the area, but also look at the apartments. So if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, I try to price the 2-bedroom mobile home at the same price as a 1-bedroom apartment. So it kind of keeps it in that realm that it's just as affordable, and you get a yard, you get space, right? Because when you live in an apartment, you're on top of someone, you're beside someone. So that can be a headache. If you have kids, you can hear every sound.
Cool. So 2-bedroom house or apartment.
1-bedroom apartment.
1-bedroom apartment
to a 2-bedroom mobile home, same price, right?
2-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom mobile home as far as rents go.
Exactly. And then it keeps it competitive. So you'll see a single versus a double wide. And really the big difference here, guys, is a single wide is 1 piece. It's 1 home. The double wide comes in 2 parts, 2 pieces. It has 2 VIN numbers. It's split down the middle. And they actually put that together. So you'll see there's a VIN number on the back and the front. We'll talk about detitling homes, and we'll talk about keeping a title and what that means as well in just a little bit.
Cool. And it's good. So double wide, there's two, right? So when you're moving them, you also have to take into account that you're moving two homes, and they're each have their own VIN number, paperwork.
They have to be separated, moved in separate sections. And it's important, like people ask me, well, how much is moving? Well, right now moving is pretty pricey, like everything, it's gone up, right? And a lot of these mobile home movers, when you get to an area, you'll find that there's quite a few. If there's 8 of them, there's probably only one that's really good. The other 7 are unreliable. Like, are they insured? Make sure, like, you want to check all those things out. But what's really, we used to be able to move a single wide mobile home for like $1,200. The price has gone up to over $2,000 to $3,000. What's happening is the really good movers now are working with the dealers instead of wasting their time on individuals like us. So it's really good to build a relationship with a mover that can get it done for you.
Cool. Step number 2, I guess the first one, go visit a dealership, right? Become familiar. Step number 2, great idea. Go introduce yourself to some movers and start figuring out just like when you're rehabbing a house, you're like, all right, I'm going to build out my contractor list. With mobile homes, it's like, hey, I'm going to build out my mobile home mover list too. That's a good relationship.
And you're going to need those people. And we'll talk about using them as resources for leads as well. So
here's some must knows.
Mm-hmm. Right? So the mobile home must knows, that kind of like distinctions between single family homes and mobile homes. So there's a HUD tag I talked about. So in that bottom left-hand picture, you'll see it typically should be, if it's a brand new home, red and silver. It's a little tag. And it's the data. It's basically the HUD tag, and it gives the information on there. Now, the problem is with a lot of those tags, they fade out, or at some point they could have been removed. Okay. So what ends up happening is when those things are removed, now you get to a point where you're trying to resell it. You need to make sure that you have that HUD tag, but there is a website that you can go to that will give you that tag or order it. So here's the other place you can find the information on the mobile home. And that's all that should be, but not always, because if someone's rehabbed it could have been ripped out. So what ends up happening is in the closet of the master bedroom, either on the electrical box inside the home or a kitchen cabinet, they have something called a data plate. And that's going to go through what wind zone is that home for. So meaning if you're on the coast, I can't move a house, like we're in Columbia, South Carolina. I can't move something from my wind zone to the coast because it's not wind approved. So you have to make sure, like, all of those variables, like if you're moving, seems easy. Oh, there's a home. I'm going to move out of the park and I'm going to move it here 5 counties over. The county might not let you. The wind zone might not allow you. So you've got to check all of these things. And you also want to make sure that data plate's in there because it has the VIN number and all the information. So it's really imperative. If it's not in there, again, you can pull a website up, and I can actually upload that in here. I don't think I have it on the slide, but the website to actually find those things.
Sure, we'll share it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll share it on the Facebook page because I get that a lot. That's a common question. Is it real property or chattel? What does that mean? So chattel is a mobile home, meaning it's just the home. It has a title with it, just like a car. So chattel is the house. So a lot of times the mobile homes that you see in a park are considered as chattel.
Personal property.
Correct. And you can get a loan on some of them, depending on the age, from the bank to buy them. Usually if it's owner occupied, sometimes it's hard to find investment loans on those. If it's real property, like we talk about, is it a house? Is it a real house? The real property with that means it's been detitled. So it no longer has a title, and they've actually attached it to the ground. And now that it's attached to the ground, it's considered real property. So just like a single family home, it has a deed, everything on it. So those are what we flip. A lot of times the chattel are what we rent, or like owner finance, or do a creative real estate strategy.
Cool.
How to pull value or comps. This is really big. This is like probably the number one thing that keeps everybody out of it. If it's one you're looking to flip, my recommendation is, one, find an agent that knows mobile homes in that area. Okay. Because you're going to have to pull comps, and you're going to have valid comps. Mm-hmm. So if you're in an area where there's no other mobile homes, that's going to be really hard to comp out. So can you sell it? What is it worth, right? You might have to get an appraisal on it. You might have to find that out. So we like to stay in the mobile home communities. So the ones like with 150 double wide mobile homes you drive through, it's kind of lotted out like not a park, because they're not close side by side. It's more of a community. And within that community, you can usually pull sales and find out what houses are selling for. And that's how we comp it out to flip it.
Yeah, we do have some communities too, where it's like they're they're not mobile home parks, right? So there's a difference between like the community.
It's like a subdivision.
It's like a subdivision, right? Everyone has, 0.6 acres or more, and it's just mobile double wides or mobile home manufactured houses are in there, right? And in a lot of the rural areas too. So just like if you have comps of other manufactured houses, fantastic. That's awesome. Like it makes it very simple, very easy. I usually will recommend staying a little conservative with your comps, and so just be something to be aware of. And then there was a great question Philip asked, hey, I was told on a podcast being able to fit a king size bed is a big deal. And yeah, right, I would say so. And what's cool is these floor plans of the mobile home, of the manufactured homes, are awesome.
They really are. I'll tell you, like, you're getting usually like one bedroom that's maybe a little small, but like the master bedroom's huge, honestly, very big. I mean, bigger than most houses. That's why I actually love them. And the second bedroom's pretty good size too. I mean, so
they're not bad. It's usually two smaller ones, but like they put all the eggs in the basket of, hey, let's make an open floor plan. Or if it's not open floor plan because it's a little older, like Christy and I will go in, we'll show you some pictures of before and after flips that we did. But I mean, the last couple that we did, the master bedrooms were big.
Yeah, they were really good size. That's what's cool. And listen, I've coached a student that's up in Pennsylvania that has a double wide that's really nice, and she has started Airbnb-ing that. So I know a lot of you are all about the short-term rentals like we are. So this is a good strategy. Depending on where you're at, you could potentially do that too. If it's hers is near outdoor walking trails and the mountains. So in the winter, she gets the skiers, and in the summer, she has like the outdoors, right? The river and all that. So like, that's a cool strategy, and you can get in very inexpensively into it. Checking with the local city, county rules and regulations. That's big, guys. I would say like on the number 3 list is talk to your county or pull up the mobile home division within your county and find out what you can actually move. Because a lot of times homes before a certain age are grandfathered in, and they won't let you move them at a certain point to a different county. And if you're going county to county, there are certain rules and regulations as well too. So it's really important to check with that, because you can buy something you think is going to be a jackpot, or even almost get it for free, guys. I've been given mobile homes, but if you have nowhere to move it, or you don't have land yourself, and you're looking to move this mobile home into a mobile home park, well, they let you do it. So there's a lot of restrictions on things. So definitely check.
Yeah, I remember that one guy that had he bought the park and his plan was to put all new ones in.
Yeah, right? He bought a park, removed all the old homes. They were like 80s models homes, didn't check with the county, started moving, was buying brand new homes to move in, and found out that whatever was in there was grandfathered in. And once you moved it, you couldn't move anything new in.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening a lot. And yeah, that's like a really hard, expensive lesson to learn. And in our county, what you're finding, it's interesting because you'll drive and all of a sudden, like right off of downtown, there's an area that you're like literally less than a half a mile from downtown, and there's a mobile home park. And then there's all these nice houses being built next door to a mobile home park. And you're like, what the world? Well, the mobile home park was there first. So you're seeing the city wants to get rid of a lot of those. So they're cracking down on the owners, and really, if you can stay kind of more out of the city limits and more towards like the rural spots, you'll probably have a lot less resistance of doing stuff out there.
Cool. And then where are we at? Buying paperwork?
I have no clue what buying paperwork is. Isn't that what you meant with that? I'm sure that'll trigger my brain.
So like the paperwork process, like it's a title. It's, if you're just buying, just like a car.
If you're buying it, I thought it was like, go buy paperwork. I'm like, where's this paperwork?
Step 3, buy the paperwork. No.
But we're not going to tell you where to get that. No. So the paperwork what he's speaking of is if you're selling a home and it's on a title, there's something called a bill of sale, and you can actually go to the DMV. And you can pull up your DMV locally. Like I said, it's sold like a car. So you can actually get the bill of sale right there off the DMV website, and it'll tell you what to do when you're selling something. And you got to make sure you have the title, and the person selling it is the person on the title and all that good stuff. So that's just the home in general. If you're doing like a real piece of property, again, that's just like a house. So it's a sales and purchase agreement. Yep. So that would be detitled.
And then just financing, just some things to be aware of, because when we are flipping, we like to flip mobile homes on land that are detitled. So we treat them just like a house, right? So, but there's a process of going through and detitling the mobile home so that it approves for financing.
like FHA financing,
Yeah.
Fannie Mae, some of the big lenders will actually finance them, but you need to check also. So next on your list, find somebody that works with mobile homes in a financing manner, because a lot of agents will put it under contract and think, oh, this is great. Yeah. Okay. My buyer's going to buy this. And then you find out they weren't qualified because there's different restrictions, insurance, different things like that.
Or the lender they were working with doesn't do them or something, or it's, so just put that on your list. Number 3, find a good lender that in your area that works with manufactured homes.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And then this is huge. Never knew this world existed. The mobile home supply stores, man, they're
awesome. So these are stores that sell mobile home specific. So in the beginning, I saw a question that said, well, what about rehabbing them? What do I put in them, or what do I do? And that the reason you get this question is you've probably gone through a mobile home and you're like, so these cabinets in the mobile home are like boards that are like disintegrating. Like, what the heck is this? Yeah. The bathtubs look smaller than a normal bathtub you buy at Lowe's. The windows look different. The doors are different. So what ends up happening is, for some of that stuff, you can't just go to Lowe's and buy it because it's, size specific. You have to find a mobile home store and a supplier that's in your local area that sells them. It's usually like a mom and pop store, right? In Georgia, I know right outside of Augusta, there's a huge store. It's called Tri-State. They're actually the big distributor that sells to the small local stores. So you can always look for your big distributors because the prices will be much cheaper, because once they get to the little mom and pop places, man, they're making a killing because the markup is tremendous on it. It's still cheaper a lot of times than single family homes. However, we just bought a door for a mobile home. We needed a new front door and a rental. That thing was like $500. And I'm like, whoa, it's probably because like they're either sold out or on back order because of the pandemic. And it's even worse than single family homes because much harder to get. So just keep that in mind too. But mobile home specific windows, the windows are much, much cheaper than windows in house. So there's a lot of advantages to that too, as well.
All right. Well, so what's step step 4? We should be writing down these steps, but I hope you guys are writing down the steps.
You can always go back and listen to this. Don't worry, it's recorded.
Step 4, find your mobile home supply store and build a relationship with the owner, because usually it's the owner that's working there. And,
they usually know the mover.
They know the movers.
Or they could be the mover too, because a lot of these people are smart because they came in and
get discounts. They have repos and stuff.
Right? Exactly. And what's cool, like go in this is the type of like business that isn't also necessarily just like, oh, I'm going to do a direct mail campaign, or I'm going to do an auto dialer. Some of this is like just going to meet someone and talk to them, right? These are like real people that want to talk and build a relationship, which is cool. And I feel like some of the strongest relationships we built in mobile home investing with people is just by mouth, just by going in and talking.
Word of mouth. Right?
Yep.
And so we talked a lot about these key relationships. We talked about movers, dealers,
mobile home park managers
is huge. Christy coaches a student down in like Florida, like Daytona Beach area, and she's like, hey, go meet the park managers, become friends with them,
find out their restrictions, get on their good side,
and then every time this person in this mobile home park, anytime there's someone who passes away,
because it's an older park.
It's an older park, retirement park.
Right.
He's the first person that they call to see if he's interested in buying it. And he doesn't own the land, but he owns the mobile home in the park. And
he rents them. He keeps them as rentals. And I think he's up to like 10 now. I mean, he's got quite a few, which is really cool. I was like, would you ever own or finance them or do anything? Like, he's like, yeah, I love the cash flow with the rentals now, but I think long-term, like when we, we're like ready to kind of sell off, we might own or finance them, but they flipped. And it's interesting because it all comes down to the relationship you have with the mobile home park and what they will allow you to do. And being their best friend will help you out. That's the big thing. The relationship is so big in that. Mobile home inspectors, these are great because these people know which mobile home, especially when it comes to parks, which mobile home parks are having issues and violations. They're the ones that you want to be friends with because they know all the intel and they know all the parks, because usually like Lexington County is our big county here that predominantly has the bulk of mobile homes. And if you go into that county office, they know every single mobile home park owner and place around here because they don't mess with the residential side. They're strictly in the mobile home unit. So it's kind of cool. Like they're a wealth of knowledge. and a brick mason. So this is important. So you've probably seen mobile homes that have the skirting underneath it, which is just like the metal skirting. But on our ones that we actually flip, we like them to look nicer. So we do a brick foundation. So a brick mason is a great person to be in touch with because they know all the mobile homes again, and they can do a lot of the skirting underneath the homes for you in brick, which is awesome. Cool.
So are you guys learning stuff? If you're learning stuff, you're enjoying this, type boom in the chat box, right? And we'll keep dropping some boom nuggets and some moments for you, right?
And I know we're going fast. Remember, it's recorded. It's just hard because there's so much information with this. And I like to not just give you a little, I want to give you a bunch. So you're like, okay, we got this. And I feel confident I can actually go out and do something.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So she's a fast talking girl from the South. So y'all better keep up. All right. That's all I'm saying. All right, here we go.
It's not good when you have kids because they're always trying to keep up.
Okay. So New York. Hey, there we go. We get along perfectly. All right. So, there's 6 strategies that we like to talk about when we're doing like webinars and stuff like this, when Christy is. And I think we're going to pick like two that I feel are the most popular, or like, I know they're all popular, but like easy to get into, whether you want cash flow and passive income, or you want to flip with active income, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about flipping or owning a mobile home in someone else's park, which is like a super low barrier of entry, where we've gotten stuff for free, $500, right? And just to take over, get rid of the headache, and then also flipping and making them super nice, right? And so what's the difference? How do you pick what you want to do? A lot of it has to do with like what you can do, right? Whether it's in a park with rules, restrictions, or so something that we're giving to you guys. If you go to Christy's website, christyduckett.com/free, there's a mobile home questionnaire. So like if you get a lead and it's a mobile home, pull that sheet of paper out and ask those questions.
And it goes through specifics that you wouldn't have if you had a seller call lead sheet of a single family home. Like, what's the lot rent? Do you allow this? What about this? It goes through all those questions, whether it's a park or it's a detitled mobile home and land. So that'll be really helpful to kind of gather information.
Yep. And you can just go there and download that. It'll pop right up. So let's get into the first strategy: buying a used mobile home and moving it into someone else's mobile home park.
Okay. So we talk about building a relationship with the park. So I like to stay. So I get a lot of questions of, especially if you're in Florida or somewhere, a retirement area, do you buy and invest in 55 and older parks? It's not that I wouldn't. I just don't like to minimize my leads and all my people into one. So if I only do 55 and older, that means I can only rent 55 and older. I like a family park. A good, nice family park is like my favorite place to be because it's desirable. If I can find a park in a good school district, that's really important. We have some in the West Columbia area that do really well because it's in a great spot across from the hospital, in a really good school district. So I think those are variables, just like we buy our houses, same thing. I drive the park. I want to make sure it doesn't look like junk, right? Like there's not people out during the day just sitting. Like, why are these people out here? There's trash, lots of pets. Like, this isn't a park I want to be in. So I first identify the park, then I build a relationship again, like I said, with the park manager to make sure that I can move homes in. I find out what their restrictions are. This is really important. How do they qualify the people they allow to move into your homes? Like, so for us, when I work in a park, I run a background check on all my people, but what does the park want me to do? There might be extra steps they want me to jump through. So I need to make sure of what that is before I buy a home and put my home in there. Because once I put it in there, I'm technically on the hook for the lot rent and everything. Yes, I'm moving a tenant in, but what if that tenant doesn't pay, right? And I have to float the lot rent. What if there's an issue with the tenant? What does that look like? So I want a park that is, strict on the rules and making it look nice, but also lenient and not on me 24/7, but they also feel confident in me that, I can move 5-10 homes in there because I really need a place to park homes in. So then I start looking for mobile homes, right? So I'm marketing, I do bandit signs. We buy mobile homes. Let's see what I can get to move in here. So I have a whole strategy in a sense of building an army of cash flow properties. Like Noah said, we've been given ones for, free. I've bought one for $2,000 that's still a rental now, and it's been renting for years and years. Those things are indestructible. That's what's great about them. And what I find, so that I think the connotation is, this is interesting because during pandemic, most people think like, oh, every tenant's not paying, there's an issue. That's not the case. Most of, if not all, I think we had one mobile home, and these are ones we have and ones we manage. I think only one person didn't pay, and they actually applied for financial assistance for the pandemic, and they got a whole year's worth of back rent paid, including into next year, which is crazy. So what I'm saying is like, these aren't bad people necessarily, right? So like most of these tenants that have lived in them, I mean, I have one girl that's been there 4 years in a mobile home. She could have bought a mobile home on her own. She could have bought one for $2,500 and moved in apart, right? She just doesn't know the strategy. So to my point, these aren't awful people that live in them. So keep that in mind. So buying and moving into the park is great. What you have to look at, and I think Noah has a slide down here, we talk about what's the cash flow on them and how does that look? So when I move homes into the park, I look at what's their lot rent. It's really important. How high is their lot rent? When was their last increase? And what does the lot rent include? And it's really important to figure out what it includes, because some parks, it's just trash service. Some you have to cut your own grass, right? Some it's not the water. It's the sewer. You need to know what these variables are, because you need to know what is somebody paying outside of that lot rent. Because if you're renting it for $600 a month, and the lot rent is $200 and you pay the park $200, that's a cash flow for you if you're managing yourself of $400 a month, which is great cash flow for something you maybe bought for $5,000. So you got to look at those numbers and say, this really could be a good opportunity. But if you find out the lot rent is $350, but then they also charge for water, this, that, and the other, that's going to minimize and cut your cash flow. And I highly, highly, highly recommend, and ask me how I know this, because we learned, right? Unfortunately, when you buy a park, have a lease in spot of what your lot rent is, what your agreement is, what that actually covers. And if that park is ever sold to someone else, make sure you have things in there basically that go through what happens if the park sells. Can you move your home out? Do you have to keep your home there? What if they come in and raise the lot rent? Because that's happening in a lot of places at $200 a month. That could kill your cash flow. So it's really important to have, I would even say, consult an attorney to have them draft a lease with the park.
Yeah, because that happened.
Exactly.
And so Mark asked, hey, isn't it better to find a used mobile home and rent it where it sits? Yeah, it could be.
That's a great question. Absolutely. Because you don't have to pay the moving costs and do it. Again, it depends on the park and the lot rents and the restrictions. But if you've got a great park that you work in, we did a good job of negotiating with the park and saying, listen, you have, I think they had like 14 vacant spots. We said, listen, we'll move 14 homes in here, but we want to pay discounted lot rent for 1 year. Or we want to pay no lot rent for the first 4 months. I actually work with a guy who lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, owns a park here. He won't allow rentals in his park, but he will allow you to own or finance homes in his park, because he really just wants the lot rent. He will pay for the move of the home in, and he will give you discounted lot rent for a couple minutes while you get everything set up and moving. So he's really negotiable because he wants someone moving homes in, and he's worked with us for years, so he likes us. So you can work with, hey, you throw it out there, see what people will take. You can do whatever you want.
Philip asked, can you get the tenant to pay the water bill, like a stick film?
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. This is a really good question. It depends on the park, Philip. So one park we're in, it's all individually metered, which is great. But guess what? It's all on one water bill, and the park individually meters. So the reality is, if the tenant skips out on the water bill, guess who's on the hook? You are. So what you can do, you can put things in place with the tenants, right? Just to have it. But how much does that stand up? I don't know. But what I'll tell you is I would do, and I even say this with our single family homes, guys, don't just put your house on autopilot and assume there's not a leak in there. There's not a problem. There's not in this, there's not in that. Do spot checks on your units, or make sure your property management company is doing that, because disrepair, water, all these things add up. And I think people think tenants, I think when you lease a home, your expectation is the tenant's going to do what you do with the home. And unfortunately, that is not the case. I've seen that.
And we talked about rents, how to compare and do. Obviously, you can check like rents in the park as well. That'd probably be your best comp. But a little trick, if there's not a lot of comps around, is to look at nearby apartments or homes and
absolutely
use the bedroom trick.
And you'll find a lot of times these parks are located, unless they're really rural, they're usually near stuff.
So yeah, this is an example of like our marketplace and buying used mobile homes and
kind of what you can get.
Yeah.
So buying a mobile home in someone else's mobile home park, 3-bedroom, 1.5, right? Purchase price $10,000. Okay, that's all in for the home. That was fixed up. That's everything. Monthly rent, I'm sorry, is $575. Lot rent is $325. And then, of course, if you have property management, try to negotiate that down. Typical is 10%, but we got this down to 8 because we have some. And the monthly cash flow is $204 a month. So if you look at that on a $10,000 investment, guys, this is where I go like, yeah, okay, that mobile home might not be worth $5 million one day, but it's a great little passive income product. And what the difference is some people are buying single family homes where they don't even cash flow $300 a month and they bought them for, $100,000. So think about those numbers. This is a pure cash on cash. If you've got some extra money, put it to work. And this is a great strategy.
And I get this question a lot. Can you buy mobile homes with your retirement accounts? The answer is yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Right. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you might have money sitting in something that's not doing anything anyway. Look into this, right? I wouldn't jump into a park right away. People get super excited about parks. They see all these bogus numbers, people posting. And I'm not saying they can't be good, but know what you're doing. I mean, that's the key. Start with the single home. Learn the ins and outs of it, understand how to buy it, understand how to rehab it, and then move on if you want to get a park. And maybe even start with a small park. You don't have to go all in 100 units. It could be 20 units.
And good for retirement accounts too, because if you're building your single family home portfolio, you got to find a lender, just a non-recourse loan if you're using your retirement and you don't have all the funds needed, right? You got to come up with a difference. Whereas here, I mean, we had one client from Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Wow. How many did he buy from you? He bought
I think like six or seven.
And he used retirement funds to do that, right? So it's a good option for you if that's where you're at.
And I have a lot of investors contacting us, and it's cool, from all over, just saying, hey, look, I have single family homes. A gentleman that lives in Colorado, he has some stuff in Indianapolis, single family homes, this, that, and the other. And then he was like, I've always been interested in mobile homes. What do you guys have? Let me buy a couple of these. And he bought 2 of those just to diversify out and say, hey, let me try this.
So this is a super simple way to start, right? Like Christy said, we bought them for 10 grand or less, most of the time, way less. So you don't need a whole lot of capital to get going. You're not responsible for the big maintenance issues that a park might have. And it's a great cash flow opportunity, right? And this is a good starting point. Learn the ropes of mobile homes, mobile home parks from your single units before making the jump and going and buying, 20 of them or whatever.
And it's great to not have the park maintenance, because if it's on a well, you can have issues with the well. What about the sewer system? All of that stuff can really add up. And some of these infrastructures are very old. So it's nice to not have that headache. And that takes a lot out of it. Because if any of you own rental single family homes, we just had this happen. For one way property manage, own a property management company. The sink's not draining. Did you dump oil down the sink? Oh no, I didn't dump grease. There's no grease. We get our plumber out there. There's a load of grease. So now look, you deal with all these issues when it goes down the sewer line and all this, right? We don't want, issues with that. So it's kind of nice to have that where it's not. So.
Question, is it your cash or someone else's?
It can be both, right? So like what's cool about this
is
what
that's referring to.
Yeah, I'm guessing for like when you're buying them, like, are you using private money or hard money, or how are you purchasing them? So now what's kind of cool, so this is different because when you approach some of your hard money lenders, they're not necessarily going to loan on these because they just don't understand them, right? So private money is the best route to go. For those of you probably starting off, it might be a little more difficult, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm building this private money lender. I've never done a deal. Now let me see if they'll put their money in a mobile home. And they're like, mobile home. But listen, we have lenders that we've used that literally we just showed them the numbers. Here's the comps, just like a house. We're going to flip this the same way. And smart lenders of ours that have a lot of money that have lent on them, and we've had no issues. So mostly private money.
Yeah, mostly private money. Mm-hmm. And we don't refer to them when we're talking to our private money lenders as mobile homes either, right? So it's like manufactured housing on land that's going to be detitled and be able to, which is the next example here.
But now that's a great question. Could you buy, a cheap mobile home for $4,000 and rehab it with someone else's money and then own or finance it out or do something? Yeah, absolutely. Like you definitely could, or flip it that way, the chattel. So.
Yeah. All right. So that's a easy, simple, or I shouldn't say easy, right? Simple cash flow strategy. And now we're going to get into some active income, which is a fix and flip type of case study. So this house here, We bought it for $37,000. This is in Lexington, South Carolina, rural area. And keep in mind, new construction homes within like a 5-mile radius of here is right around 250,000 or so, right? So for like good school districts, right? So the rural area. But here's a mobile home. Now, if this was a single family house, it would probably, same condition, might sell for like 85, 90, I imagine, right? But because it's a manufactured home, this is a double wide.
Detitled on the land.
Detitled on land. Just not as, people see like, I'm not really sure what to do with this. We picked it up for 37.
Now it was on the MLS for 50,000, and this had been sitting on the MLS. So I suggest, again, like find an agent that understands mobile homes and have them just pull mobile and manufactured homes and see what's on your market. It's interesting. In the last year, I've seen the mobile home prices rise significantly. Like some of them I'm pulling up like, oh my gosh. But again, remember, you can do bandit signs, direct mail, anything like that to absentee owners that own. And that might be some of like your best leads for the mobile homes.
Steps, was it 6, 5 or 6? Whatever the next step is, call your agent and say, hey, look, pull everything right now that's manufactured houses. I want to see what my market looks like. Manufactured houses.
And they might tell you, oh God, don't buy those. They're awful. Stay away from them. Right. Yeah. I hear that all the time. But some of our ones in the good counties right now, like I've been eyeing them. I check weekly. They're selling as well as houses and it's expensive. It's crazy. So I'm like, people caught on, people are getting it. But we ended up doing 30 grand rehab on that one. And we sold it for 110. And I think we have some interior pictures. This was like a grandmother bought it. This is an awful story. The grandmother bought it for her granddaughter. She paid cash for it, and the granddaughter did that to the house on the left. It was disgusting, like had animals, pets, and then just bailed. So this grandmother literally was like, I just want to get rid of this thing. So we ended up negotiating her down. Now, what you'll see in here with a lot of the mobile homes, they have like that L-shaped kitchen that kind of like blocks off. It kind of perceivably makes it a non-open floor plan. So I like to take it out. And again, we use Lowe's cabinets in there to open it up.
That's the after.
Yeah. Formica countertops, laminate flooring, lumber liquidator, right? The roof is a roof. So that was the same as like a regular roof you put on a house.
And look at that bedroom. I mean, that's a
king size bed material.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, you could get king size water bed. I mean, whatever you want, whatever you want. So here's what's cool. So like, as you're flipping houses, right? I don't know about you guys, but we typically will use the same paint, same carpet, same flooring, same cabinets. Anything left over, roll it over into the next one. What's nice about the mobile home stuff is, we have a storage unit. Anything excess goes in the storage unit, and we can take that and put it in our rental properties or in the mobile homes, really. So this next house, everything's the same.
Yes. Right? Don't recreate the wheel. And now this is a question I get a lot because there's paneling on the walls of the mobile home. Should I rip the paneling out? And I saw somebody on the calls from New York, should I rip the paneling out? Should I sheetrock it?
See, so right? There's some lines right there. In the master bed.
There's strips that kind of hold the paneling together. We don't, it's really not necessary. I know up north, it's a lot colder, right? So like, yeah, it would be nice to think like, hey, I'll go in and re-insulate the walls if it's older and I'll put up drywall. It's not, I don't think it's necessary, honestly. But again, look at what's sold on the MLS. Look at your comps and see if they're doing that. If they're doing that and it's pulling more value, great. If not, the paneling, that was like the paneling with the wallpaper on it. We just went in and painted all of that and did. And it looked amazing. Like people actually, what's funny, they kind of skipped over that it was a manufactured home. They were having their agents come out and show them a house because they saw the interior pictures. And when they got out there, they're like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize it was a manufactured home. I thought that was a house. And then they were like, gosh, this really looks good. Like they were like, maybe I will buy this, so.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool for sure. So that was the first one, first case study. This is the second case study. So, same door color, same everything, right? A little bit different on this one is we went in and did the brick underpinning.
And that cost us, that to that one, we added that. So it had skirting. Now it wasn't necessary to put the brick underpinning to get FHA financing on it. It just made it look more appealing. And in budget, it just made sense.
It was way high off the ground. So it just looked really bad.
The skirting just made it look really old and crappy. So anyway, we went in and did that. So that cost us, I think, around $6,500 to $6,800 for the brick and the labor. And it just made it look so good. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. And again, this is in a really great area where there's like a Lowe's, a Walmart, good school district.
Yeah, there's a house right behind, not the one that's directly to the left, but one over.
A single family home.
Yeah, it was a brand new home, and it sold for like 200 or something like that. Much higher, right? So here you are in a nice neighborhood with new construction homes, and we're able to put a product out there that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet for 125, right? And it was a single mom, I think, that ended up buying it.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Right. Great neighbor who had lived there forever. So this was the before
in the kitchen.
And the people that had it before, it smelled like cats. They had cats. It was so bad. So anyway, actually, I laughed because we flipped a house one time when I was pregnant, and all I could smell was the cat pee. It was so bad. And our painter's wife was in here, and we had like killed everything and done it. And she's like, I just smell cat pee over here. And I was like, is she pregnant? And 2 weeks later, she's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm like, oh my God, that's why you could smell that. It was so funny.
Yeah, like a
super bad superhero power.
Like a werewolf.
Yeah, it was awful.
Right, so there's the after, so same cabinets, same countertops.
Yeah, go back to that. See how that looks so divided and just closed in. And this one was interesting because it had 2 double living rooms. That's just one of them. And there's their front eat-in and living room on the front side, which was really cool. This place was huge. Again, a 3-bedroom. That was the master bath. Why in God's name did they put carpet on the side of the tub? I mean, that seems like the worst idea. So we went back in and refinished that. Right? Like, that's so nice.
I mean, that's nicer than our bathroom. Like, it's like,
I know, it's crazy. And there was a shower where the toilet is. There's a shower in front of that. It's so nice.
So we spray these tubs. We have like a lot of the showers and stuff refinished as opposed to having to get new, right? Because Christy mentioned sometimes it might be different sizes or whatever.
And I would even tell you that in your single family homes, like if you have nice tile that's usable and salvageable, get one of those refurbing companies to come in and spray it. It really will save you a lot of money on your budget, and it looks just as nice.
Yeah. And so here's the before and after picture, right? So like
that metal underpinning just looked, but yeah, it really made a massive difference. I couldn't believe, like, it's almost like shocking every time we rehab a house. Even the ones that aren't that bad, when I go back in, I forget how bad they were before. It's like, oh my gosh, is this the same house? We look at the picture. I'm like, oh my God, that was really bad. So it's really cool to see that. So I wanted to like throw something in as a bonus because we didn't talk about every strategy, but this is something big. And I know there is an instructor on REI USA that talks about land. So if you're kind of looking at a different option and the competition in your market, again, is like heated up, which is everywhere. A lot of these older mobile homes sit on land, right? And they're attached to them. And you might go, okay, well, maybe I don't want the mobile home. Maybe I can't flip this. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you found a mobile home on land, you could pretty much sell that thing and make some money on it right now, because the inventory, the mobile homes even being manufactured, the manufacturers are backed up a little bit because there's such a supply, demand shortage. So if you look at the land, you see, and I know this is going on in every area, it's ours, and a lot of new construction, a heck of a lot of new construction. So you might even be able to use a strategy like moving an old mobile home off the land and putting a new mobile home, or you might just move the mobile home off the land and wholesale the land off and sell it and flip it to a retail buyer, right? That's going to have a builder build, or to a builder. So think of that as a whole different strategy that you could easily do in your market as well, because the land is there. And the land isn't desirable to people sometimes because they're like, oh, there's a mobile home on it. I don't want that. Well, that thing can be moved very easily and sold. You could actually make money on that and move it, and then still make money moving the land.
Selling the land, or going to the mobile home dealership and saying, hey, what do you got? You got anything on liquidation? You got anything you got to get? It's burning a hole in your pocket. You got to get it off the lot. Sell it to me. Give me a call whenever that happens. And if it's already perked with the septic and all that stuff, just plop down the new one where the old one was.
Right.
Instead of doing all these, 6-figure renovation projects, let's just like pick up the phone and order a house.
Yeah.
Almost,
and you could go through your numbers. And I know someone, another investor that's doing that in Arizona. He's getting a lot of the California people moving out to his market. So he's doing a lot of this land home package flipping, doing nothing literally. Like, yeah, he'll take the land, he'll find a piece of land, get it subdivided, put the septic, sewer, everything on it, city water, if there's that, and then plopping the house on and selling it. And he's making really good money. Got another investor down in Charleston. He's a hoot. That guy's funny as can be. He is buying homes outside of Somerville in Charleston. He's actually kind of honed in on this mobile home community we talked about, and he's flipping houses and his average profit is like 65 to 75 grand a mobile home deal profit, which is crazy.
Not bad.
So
cool. So, hey, that was a lot. Any questions you guys have, post them in the Q&A or in the chat box, and we'll for sure.
So good question. Them. What do you do with the old mobile home that you move off the land? So I would literally, here's what I would do. I would post that thing up on Facebook Marketplace and be like, especially if you have the title to already have it, mobile home for sale, just throw up a price, right? Throw up whatever you think it's worth to you to get rid of it or move it and see if someone will buy it. If nobody's biting, drop the price. Or you could call a mobile home dealer that redistributes refurbished manufactured homes and call them and say, hey, listen, I've got a mobile home that I want moved, because they get a lot of exposure. They can sell those things. Used mobile homes are selling right now for 15 to 20 grand, which is even crappy ones. It's crazy because there's just no inventory. So you could easily sell it on your own. If the walls look really grungy in a mobile home, can you clean and paint? Is there a special paint? So that's a good question. Yes, you can clean them 100%. So if it's a rental, what I'll tell you is I would just maybe use kilts and tint it. And they'll sometimes tell you at Lowe's, you can't tilt the kilts. It's not going to work. I'm like, yes, it will. I've done it a million times. So kilt is good because it also blocks in the smell and the nastiness, and tint it and just spray the whole thing, right? Sometimes I'll even spray the subfloors, guys, before I put flooring back down, because if they had a pet in there that used the bathroom, it'll seal it and you won't be able to smell it. But if it's a mobile home that you're flipping, we use like an oil-based paint first that'll grasp onto that panel board and then go in and paint over that. That's what my guys use. And he always sprays and does. And that stuff's great.
Always prime it. Mm-hmm. They're always priming everything. All of our rehabs, but especially
the mobile homes, because they do get dingy. Some of them are gross. I mean, that's the truth. You walk in and I don't know what it is about those walls that take in the grossness more than a house. However, I just went to see a single family home. And because of the pandemic, all the foreclosures have been so backed up. I haven't seen a nasty, foreclosure in forever. This wasn't even a foreclosure, but it was so gross. This house. Oh, it's awful. I was like, dog smell. I was like, oh, this is a big one.
All right. Contractors for mobile homes that know how to fix them.
Mobile home supply stores. I would start there. Go to the mobile home supply store. They know the good, the bad, the ugly people. Ask the owner who they recommend. Also, you can get on Facebook Marketplace, but I found Craigslist. I've actually found good people. And again, do you need a licensed contractor? So yes, you definitely want somebody who's insured and knows what they're doing, but you're not necessarily like removing a load-bearing wall or something like that. So I don't think it's really that important. I do use licensed electricians and plumbers on the mobile homes, just like I do anything.
And it's the same guys that do our houses, that do the manufactured homes.
Right. But for the basic stuff, it's pretty, you could really hire a good handy person to do it, and somebody that lays floors and does. So
good questions.
Cool.
Good questions. All right. Any other questions, you guys? You got them. Type them in. Type them in the box. What else?
Of course, we do the South Carolina Super Group the third Thursday of every month. So make sure you log on. We kind of threw up some, I know we talked about property management before. We talked about, mobile home investing now.
Yeah, we've done private money. We've done conscious communication of how to negotiate sales strategies, you name it. So like, this is the South Carolina Super Group, but really just because that's where we live. Like, this is a cornucopia, plethora of knowledge of all things real estate.
And listen, if you're looking like specifically at the South Carolina market and you have questions, I actually had a student of REI USA reach out to me and said, hey, can we talk this morning, which is really cool. So what he's doing is he's doing remote wholesaling, and he's out of Georgia and he wants to move into a different market. So we talked for about a half an hour this morning about what he's doing, what he's looking for. And I was like, look, you're doing all this marketing with your VAs, bring me some deals, man. I got some buyers. So I was like, let's work together, right? So it could be mobile homes, it could be non-mobile homes. Maybe you're looking for rentals, whatever. We're here. And if it's not directly in our market, it could be Charleston, Greenville, wherever. Reach out, because we might know somebody in that market that can help you.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity, guys, to learn. I'll pump Christy's tires. She's one of the best coaches in the country when it comes to this stuff. She's worked with Fortune Builders. She's the #1 coach over there. If you've ever heard of that company, been coaching what is it? Over 4,000 one-on-one coaching sessions she's done in the last decade.
That sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. But you know what's cool is she knows how to get the best out of you. You know, the real estate stuff is easy, right? Buy, sell, fix, flip, hire contractors, you know, that's the knowledge stuff. But if you need help, you know, maybe in your own head or getting out of your own way or whatever, she's a great resource to have. So just go to her website, Christy. You can find her on Facebook, whatever. Open door.
Yeah, I'd love to help. If you're struggling with anything, let me know. That's what we're here for. But if you're specifically looking at South Carolina market, we're here. So definitely reach out. And even the North Carolina market, I've got some contacts there as well. If you need to.
She's got contacts everywhere, right? She's got 4,000 people that she's helped.
I know everybody everywhere. I keep saying I'm going to come visit all of you guys once this pandemic's done.
Yeah, where you at? Where you at? New Mexico. New
York, everybody's
right?
got a short-term rental now. I was like, okay, look, I'm going to bring the kids. We're going to stay. I'll help you out.
Mark, where are you from in New York? Are you from upstate? You from Central? Long Island? Where are you from? I'm from Ithaca, New York. That's what I was asking. So we're always up in that area, visiting family and stuff like that. And
Queens, nice.
Okay, there you go. Cool.
Man, well, you listen, our oldest son says his dream is, and I love New York, his dream is to go to New York. So I'm like,
we're gonna take him to a Rangers game. We're gonna take him to a Rangers game.
I was gonna say a Broadway musical, but we'll do everything.
Well, you guys have been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. Again, if you have any questions, just hit us up. You can find us on in the Facebook group.
Yeah, and guys, use, like today I was in the REI USA. Like, of course, we've wholesaled, we've rehabbed, we've done everything. I was actually going through listening to some of the amazing speakers and education pieces that are in here. This is awesome what Stacey's put together. So take advantage and jump on this and just really learn. And if you have any questions, reach out. Okay, guys, have a good month.
We're signing off.
All right, take care.
See you in October. How do I end it? There we go. See ya.